BBC TV News may have first appeared in 1954, but the presenters didn't. They weren't allowed to be seen. And even when they did appear 2 years later, they weren't named. The BBC was worried about mixing personalities with the news. But gradually things changed, and by the early 60s, television presenters were becoming well-known figures. One of those was Michael Aspel. Well, here's Mike in 1963 explaining how the news was made at Alexandra Palace.
And that's all for today from the news studio. So from me, good night. Well, this is a picture I expect you've seen on your screens a good many times. The newsreader at his desk. But have you ever wondered what goes on behind the screen? Where does the news come from? BBC Television News at Alexandra Palace in North London receives news from the world over, from its core of foreign correspondents, from mobile film units based on London, Glasgow, Cardiff and Belfast, from 7 regional newsrooms, from its staff reporters. News comes in too round the clock from international agencies supplying a service of news on film from all over the world. News from overseas television networks, news from the world's capitals, where and when it breaks. The teleprinter services of the big agencies are all taken by the BBC. It's also kept informed by its Foreign Broadcasting Monitoring Service. A news flash received at Alexandra Palace can be instantly acted upon by the news desk there. By radio links, they can alert camera cars, divert them from one story to another.
Aerial AP to 44.
Aerial AP to 44, will you drop the London Airport story and go to the following address where there has been a wages snatch? Silver Street, Hornsey.
Make it our way there now. Over.
This two-way radio control of camera cars ensures the best possible deployment of the hard-worked film units. It often helps to get television coverage before the evidence has been cleared away. In fact, while the news is still hot. The camera crew arrives on the scene of the hold-up. And because this is a sound film unit, there will not only be pictures of the story, but valuable interviews as well. The man who'll get those interviews, the reporter, must work fast. He can't afford to lose time between getting on the scene, getting the story, and being ready for the first take, as the filmed interview is called. In television news coverage, timing is all important. Minutes lost can mean missing a program. Like a newspaper, BBC Television News has its deadlines. Automatic processing of film arriving at Alexandra Palace ensures that it can be developed in quantity and with the speed demanded to get it into the program. For the same reason, most film is used in negative, being changed to positive electronically on transmission. Films delivered to the film editor, who works in cooperation with editorial staff. He makes his cuts on the negative, shaping the rushes to a proper sequence, joining them into a film that will tell its story in the fullest possible way within the time allowed. On the edited version, each shot will be listed by the scriptwriter so that film and words match. Other kinds of visual illustration go into the bulletin. Artists draw up charts and prepare animated diagrams often used to set the location of a story. In the newsroom, where the program scripts are prepared, a duty editor plans the bulletin, in which each item will be timed to the last second. This exact timing demands rehearsal of the program before it actually goes out on the air. This night's program will include reports fed in live from outside sources, from the BBC Scottish News Studio, a report from Paris over the Eurovision link, and included in the home news, a report to come from the Parliamentary News Studio. The film is loaded. The production staff finally check what's in the program, what's out.
Drop story 9, Michael. Right, everybody, story 9 is out.
The production team has always to be prepared to accept late news into the program up to the last minute before transmission. Sometimes the main story will be changed with only minutes to go.
Stand by, everybody. 10 seconds to go. Fade up 1, cue him. Run.
From this moment, television news is on the screen in millions of homes. And that's all for today from the news studio. So from me, good night. And this is where we came in, the end of the news. But of course, news never ends. Even at this very moment, the next bulletin is being prepared. And so it goes on every day, 365 days a year. That's BBC Television News.